And I had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you, yes, I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the hardest part of the ring. My name is Bob. Thank you for joining me. We are talking about the Hulu edition of WWE Raw from November 9th of 2020. I am not going to be yelling. I'm going to be reserved. I have people sleeping in the house. I'm recording this very late because tomorrow I make a 12-hour drive from upstate New Jersey to Conway, South Carolina, which is famous for being near Myrtle Beach. So I got a long day ahead of me, but I do want to get this bad boy out because, we got to shoot the shit, we got to chew the fat, we got to whistle Dixie, we got to wax philosophical, my man, rubbing elbows, greasing palms, we're doing a thing, talking about Raw. So thanks for once again for joining me in the hardest part of the ring. We opened the show with Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. Why, Bob? Why? Because then, now, forever, the signature at the show has Hulk Hogan slamming Andre, and then I think Freddie Blassie shows up, and Ric Flair is in a pink robe, and then there's The Undertaker. You don't need to know this, okay, but I like to do that. Then we have a video package talking about Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre, and The Miz, and The Fiend, and John Morrison, and Alexa Bliss. It feels like the 4 or 5 of them have been feuding with each other forever, and it's only been like 3 weeks. So we do that, big recap, and we start off with Miz TV. Man, John Morrison looks even cooler next to The Miz. He just pulls off the slow motion thing well. I miss the beard. I don't understand. And they both say the phrase big things about 900 times. And they're supposed to have the New Day on the show. That's why there's multiple chairs for multiple people to sit in the chairs. But then Randy Orton shows up anyway because I guess there's going to be a big 6-man tag later on. And what does Randy Orton do? He doesn't trust The Miz to cash in his Money in the Bank thing. And then the New Day arrive, and the New Day, normally on any other program, I would say, they're being too goofy, they're not being serious enough, but at least someone was half alive. So I'm glad that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston showed up and just tried to have some fun with it. You can tell they're in a little bit of autopilot too. I think a lot of the wrestlers, it's coming through on a screen that they are just waiting for either live shows to happen again or something else to change, and are really just going through the motions. Survivor Series season has not been an exciting season in years. Probably not since the 30 years of The Undertaker showed up, 30 years ago, which we'll talk about that as well. So I'm glad they were here just to, not totally goof around. They were still taking the match seriously, and because they're professionals. They know where the line is, and they don't. I don't think they cross it too much. So always happy to see those guys. But anyway, and Kofi Kingston gets an RKO from Randy Orton. Of course, who else would give him one? That would be ridiculous. Uh, they, I'm really disappointed that they don't treat Kofi like a former Universal Champion. They'll mention it. They really just don't treat him like one. He just went back to tag team ranks like on day 2 of losing to Brock a little over a year ago, which is a shame because I'm big on Kofi. But at this point, it's like I watch wrestlers and I'm like, I'm just glad he's working. That's what fandom has come to. I'm glad he has a job. That's depressing, isn't it? Drew McIntyre's music hits. There's a sword in the beginning, and he stops the big mighty Dragon Slayer who took down Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20 in front of nobody and defended against Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley and Kevin Owens. No, not Kevin Owens, but they teased that one. And successfully against Randy Orton twice. The big beast, the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre was taken down by a hollow briefcase. There's nothing in it. You could hear. It's just thin metal, like why in his shoulder. Why is he down? And he gets hit with an RKO, but then he kind of pops up a little bit and he's smiling at the idea of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. So he was happy about that. Well, that's good. That doesn't. Ah, poor Bob. The final farewell to The Undertaker is then advertised in Survivor Series. No one knows what that means. I think does he just show up and do his pose, and then maybe a bunch of people stand at the ramp and clap? I guess that's what it sounds like to me in my head. I don't know what he's gonna do, if there's gonna be any last tombstones and choke slams and this, that, and the other thing. It's tricky. I'm glad that they acknowledged the 30-year anniversary. I was 10 years old when I remember watching him debut and be the mystery partner for the $1 million team. I remember in my head I was convinced. I was convinced, staring at WWF magazine at the time, that Dustin Rhodes would be the mystery partner, and the $1 Million Man had bought out Dusty Rhodes' son Dustin to mess with him, since the previous pay-per-view, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase bought Sapphire. He took Sapphire away from Dusty, so I thought, what could be worse than taking his son away? And as a 10-year-old, hey, I wasn't half bad in a creative department, but who could predict the Undertaker? And I remember, and I was 10, so I was a little bit too old to be too scared of all the guys. Like, I knew they could flatten me, but I wasn't gonna have to fight them. They just live inside the TV, so who cares? And the Undertaker was one of those guys who legitimately gave me quite a stir, even at 10 years old. Like, he got to me, and I knew that was something special. And here's the wacky thing: I knew he was Mean Mark. I'd seen him on the WCW show on Saturday nights. Is it called Main Event? I forget what they called. I think it was whatever. It was at 6:05 Eastern on TBS. I knew it was Mean Mark, and it still terrified me. It still got to me. So yeah, I'm glad they acknowledged the 30. I wanted his last match to go all the way to the 30th anniversary on this Survivor Series, but WrestleMania is WrestleMania. And I was also hoping by then, foolishly, like the rest of the world, there'd be people in a building, and that in front of people, the Survivor Series, the Undertaker could have his final match. That's my say on that. So I don't know what the final farewell is, but I am enjoying the mini docs. The Paul Bearer one on the network is really good. Check that out. Then we have oh god, we have a three-way triple. We have a triple threat match. The fighting for the right to participate on a Survivor Series team that they already lost matches. Each guy already lost a match for the right to participate on his team. So how do we pick the fifth man? We'll pick a guy who already lost a qualifying match. Which, I don't even know, how does that make you qualify? Shouldn't they look at your overall record? Why do they pick one random match? Anyone could have a bad night. It doesn't make any sense. Why are they fighting for this brand? Half the brand got drafted to the other brand like a week ago. Why would you care? I don't know. I don't know the answers, folks. But Riddle, who is only Riddle, he has no more mat. Okay, they have wiped the mat clean. Riddle versus Elias versus Jeff Hardy. There's a weird moment here, and this is what happens in these type of matches where everything is so overplanned. Riddle was watching Jeff Hardy roll up Elias, and instead of breaking it up like you would, because you don't want to lose the match, because if the other guy pins the other guy, you still lose. He waited because there needed to be a 1-2 kick out so that he could roll up Jeff or Elias. One of them was pinning the other one. I don't know. And it was it was kind of awkward and kind of exposed the thing a little bit, because then there was this long spot they had to go into. And Riddle wins the thing. And man, it sounds weird when the ring announcer says, "Here is your winner, Riddle." But AJ Styles is watching he's watching the festivities from backstage with Mr. Hughes, and they are watching on a television screen. And why this bothers me, it's been bothering me since I was a teenager. How come when they watch a monitor from the back of the television program, they don't see themselves watching the match? Because they're supposed to be watching the show on a TV, and they're on the show, are they not? So AJ Styles and the Great Khali should be standing there watching AJ Styles and the Great Khali, but they're not. It bothers me. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so Riddle hit his bro Derek on Elias 1, 2, 3. 77 stars from myself and Stale Seltzer, the wrestling rubbernecker. Then AJ Styles, that is, has a conversation with Sheamus. Sheamus refers to Riddle as an obnoxious punk, but he has an accent, so it sounded like he called him an obnoxious hunk. And Riddle's a good-looking guy. I mean, I would have taken either or. That's fine by me. I'm turning my page now. Lana enters the ring and she looks unassured and having no confidence. I don't know why we're supposed to be cheering her. But we cut Lana's entrance to do a package for Veterans Day, and the computers chant USA. And then what happens here? Shayna wrestles Lana, and Shayna wins, of course. She taps out Lana. She does the arm stompy thingy. And there's no table here. And by the way, this gets 19 stars. There is no table bump from Nia on Lana here at the moment. But backstage, we see Lana with Mandy and Dana Brooke. And I thought Mandy was a good guy. She was being all snotty and bitchy to Lana. What happened? Why is she? And Dana Brooke was good too. Why did they? And they're feuding with heels. Why are these two baby faces? They could be a little more. I don't get it. I don't know why anyone's mad at anybody. Doesn't make any sense. AJ Styles enters the ring and he introduces. This segment killed the show. This is what made this a bad show. AJ Styles enters the ring and he introduces Keith Lee, then Riddle, who's wearing new clothes or new tights to compete in another match, and I give him credit for that. Throwback to Randy Savage at WrestleMania 4 with 4 different outfits and Elizabeth with 4 different gowns, dresses, whatever. So the effort is cool, and I dig it. And then AJ introduces Sheamus and Braun. They're still doing this absurd AJ saying he's the captain bit, and they do this every year, and they're doing really the same thing with Nia and Shayna together, the women's team. Braun Strowman, stupid goddamn Braun Strowman, he has gloves attached to his belt. I don't know why. To protect his hands. But if his hands are the hands that we don't want to get, then they're pretty dangerous hands. So why do the hands need protection with the gloves? This was really bad. Somebody wrote some really unfunny comedy, and of course, because Riddle is a more laid back, mellow character, they had to throw it all his way in like a stonery kind of way, sort of not really wink wink, and he was doing this horrific thing where just simple name calling. He's calling Sheamus Fireface because initially he's got red hair on his face, but no, it's because your face gets red when you get mad. And it wasn't funny, and they made Keith Lee do this fake giggle, which makes him look like an idiot. So Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, the two definitive baby faces of this team, are made to look like unfunny buffoons. One's not funny, the other one's got no sense of humor, according to this segment, and it went on for way too long. I don't know if they got lost or they were just killing time, or there was going to be another match, but everybody got COVID on the way to the show. I don't know what happened, but somebody's writing nonsense, and usually like pointless name calling, like when who was it? I think Seth Rollins had to call Jericho Sparkle Crotch like a couple of years ago. And there was something else with Jericho and New Day, with the Rudy Tooty Booty something. I forget. I don't even know who was good and who was bad in that. I really don't remember. But all of these goofy things, that's it's so immature and so stupid and so not funny. It's got to be Vince. That's got to be a McMahonism all the way, and you call him Fireface. That's not. Are we six? It's really dumb, and made me not want to see any of these guys wrestle any of these guys. So of course we have a tag match where AJ Styles is the official in charge. He's wearing a shirt with his tights and his kick pads, because why wouldn't you? And AJ seems to be having some fun with this, which is good for him. I think he's 43 or something, like less bumps for him. He'll still deliver when it's time, so you don't have to worry about AJ Styles' best matches disappearing. I'm sure he's got plenty of those left, but let's just easy on the bumps for him. He's at that phase. Stupid goddamn Braun Strowman does a senton on Matt Riddle. Why? Don't. It makes the guys who do it well look dumb. Everyone was accidentally kicking AJ, and then AJ accidentally gets smushed between the two big guys, Keith and stupid goddamn Braun. And eventually Riddle rolls up Sheamus after some kind of missed kick or something for the 1, 2, 3. 500 stars, by the way. So 2 victories for Riddle, and he still looked like a dumbass. So good job with that. Perhaps what that promo does. Because all I remember about Matt Riddle from this night was him making unfunny insults, looking like a dumbass. So if he looks like a dumbass, what do the 2 victories do? Hell, it makes the 2 guys he beat Look like bigger dumbasses. What happens now? Alexa Bliss is picking daisies when she talks to Nikki Cross. And Nikki Cross, who is supposed to be like a half pirate, half psycho chick when we met her, gradually became a perfectly sane woman who has sensitive feelings. She made Alexa Bliss choose who she's going to be friends with, which really isn't what a friend would do. And Alexa Bliss chooses The Fiend to be friends with, and that's the end of that. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. The Hurt Business may or may not have new music. It sounds like they changed it up a bit, which means they're going to win. You know the rules. New music, you're going to win. Bobby Lashley looks like he has two arms on each arm. He is ginormous. MVP was doing his thing. He was very comical, but Charlie Caruso has like an insert, like a picture-in-picture to tell us that there's going to be a tag team championship match, New Day, and the other guys in Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, which is cool that they promote it a week at a time and makes the tag title. To me, that always makes it look like a bigger deal when you say, hey, breaking news next week. We're going to have this tag. We're going to have this Intercontinental. That kind of deal. Titus O'Neil shows up. Man, everyone got COVID on the way to this show. He had something to say with 6 pounds of crackers in his mouth, but he inevitably got himself a U.S. title match with Bobby Lashley. MVP, of course, insulted him as he was standing on the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. The apron, hardest part of the ring. And MVP had a great line about, hey, the match is above the ring, not below it, referring to Titus O'Neil in Saudi Arabia, tripping and actually somehow falling underneath the ring. This is very brief. The whole thing is really Titus fires up on Lashley. Lashley hits the spear. Kinda almost gets to full Nelson and barely gets it because somebody forgot they're both huge and didn't think to test this out in the back. 40 stars. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus are backstage, a good guy and a bad guy, and they admit they're friends. That's kind of cool. Something different. No one's. Are they setting up a Sheamus stabbing Drew later? Maybe, but for this, they were just, hey, they're two guys talking, which makes sense, you know. So I enjoyed just that aspect of it. But then Drew McIntyre, again, the badass beast who got knocked out with a hollow briefcase, starts clapping to the New Day's thing and smiling, and yeah, I don't know. Still like him. Like somebody else doesn't, but I still do. And they ended it with Sheamus and Drew were bragging about how much alcohol they're going to consume. Well, I understand because they have to be there all day, so I don't blame them. Asuka, the WWE Raw Women's Champion, remember her? She enters the ring. She's going to wrestle Nia Jax. But first, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler talk to a blonde lady. And they do the exact same stupid argument about who's in charge, who's the captain, yada yada. Asuka and Nia have a match, and Asuka puts the octopus hold on Nia at one point, which is kind of cool. But in 2011, if you were protesting downtown New York City and also using the octopus hold, you were part of the Occupy Wall Street movement. Okay, moving on. And well, this match made my tentacles hurt. Okay, dokie, Bob. Lana, for some reason, shows up and she's standing on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. Hardest part of the ring. And there's a DQ somehow. Mandy and Dana were on commentary, and everyone's accidentally hitting everybody, except for one wacky thing where I think Lana and Shayna both fall off the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, onto Dana and Mandy, but one of them missed Mandy, so Mandy got hit in the ankle barely and crumbled anyway because you're supposed to. And then they do the table spot, so Lana got put through, I think, 8 times the Nia Jax table, where Nia lets Lana take the entire bump, and I'm surprised they haven't killed her yet. What are they trying to do with Lana? It's weird, it's confusing, and they're never going to give up on her, no matter how much weird nonsense they've given Lana to do in the last several years. Vince likes blondes, so we're never going to be done with it. And what happens next? Randy Orton roughs up Adam Pearce backstage for some reason. I missed the beginning, but something to do with him defending against Drew McIntyre next week, so that makes sense. There's a big 6-man tag. I forgot what happened. I stopped taking notes at this point. I got distracted. I'm putting up all my stuff into a car. Who won this thing? I forgot. I'll think. Oh yeah. I think Drew pinned Morrison. I think Randy stopped tagging and he kind of gave up on the whole thing and walked out. And New Day were there as well. And Kofi did one kind of wacky, twisty thing to the outside. And I think that's what happened. Yeah, Miz and the New Day were victorious. I'm going to give it 1,000 stars. Nothing too monumental. Unfortunately, what stood out on the Hulu edition of Raw for November 9, 2020 was really unfunny, like first grade insults. It was really, they really have to stop those. And they really won't stop with this Lana Nia. I don't know where it's going. Lana having no confidence. She's supposed to suddenly, I would assume, at some point believe in herself. And I just talked myself through it. She's going to be the sole survivor of that match. God damn it. Well, there you go. Lana just won Survivor Series. Yay. Thank you very much for listening to the hardest part of the ring. Hopefully, in a few days, I'll do the NXT. I am driving across the country for the next 7 days. The United States, that's the country. The United States of COVID. So I'm very nervous about this. But shit happened. Okay, so I gotta move. I'm gonna move back to where I did best anyway, in San Diego, California. So I wanted to record this bad boy before it becomes a little bit too far removed, because Hulu does air the day after for these shows. So if you're listening to these, you've obviously seen it, and you just want to know if I have any insights or any wacky remarks or what have you. All in all, I'm going to give the show. Didn't really care for it. I'm going to give it 15,000 stars. Not really. It's not that it's the problem used to be it's just formulaic. It's too formulaic. Now the problem is it's too formulaic, and it's not even the good formula anymore. I don't understand. I understand the stalling between Drew versus Randy versus Fiend, and I would imagine Fiend and Alexa do something to give us a non-finish next week. In the past couple of years, they've done a few times. AJ, I think in 2018, AJ had 2017. AJ had beaten what's his face Jinder Mahal, and then he ended up having that match with Brock instead of Jinder, because they had advertised Jinder and Brock. I think it was last year, the year before. I don't remember. Daniel Bryan had he beat AJ and turned heel like right before the Survivor Series too. So they did Daniel Bryan and Brock. It would have been 2018, right? 20 and last year I forget what they did. I honestly I don't remember last year's Survivor Series at all. I can't tell you one match. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know the answer. So that's what's happening. We're just stalling. We're just flapping our gums and twiddling our thumbs, you crazy cats. But I do appreciate all of you listening to the hardest part of the ring. If you follow this thing on Podomatic, you get it probably about 20 minutes earlier. Yay. At Bob Hansen Jokes on Twitter. Drop me a line. We'll shoot the breeze and do the thing. Rubbing elbows, greasing palms. I say that one already. I probably did, but that's what happens when we're rock and rolling, strutting, strolling, slamming, jamming, moving, grooving, squeezing the lemons, stopping on a dime. Don't know where we're going, but we are making good time at the hardest part of the ring. You guys are absolutely tremendous. Thank you very much. See you next time.